Joining us now is Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. Senator, thanks for joining us today. So you were there with Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Talk to us about what your experience was like, and are you seeing any sort of improvement?
No, I'm not seeing improvement, actually. In fact, this is some of the same areas of the border I've been to multiple times. The Biden administration is saying they're now working on some of the area of the fence and closing the gaps. In reality, they're working right next to the fence to work on flood control, while literally the gaps in the fence are still there. And Border Patrol are saying, hey, we just need this fence closed so we don't have as many drugs and everything else that are flowing through this gap in the fence. The Border Patrol, Customs, Border Protection are also saying they're really getting more and more concerned on national security issues because we have more and more individuals that are non-Spanish speakers that are coming across our border from Pakistan, from West Africa, from Russia, from China, from the Middle East. These are men in their 20s that are coming across the border. We have no criminal history. We have no background on. We don't know if they're fleeing poverty or fleeing justice. We have no idea. And the administration is literally just fingerprinting them and releasing them into the country and saying, show up for a hearing at some point in the future. So there are very real national security issues, very real drug issues that are flowing across the border. And the Border Patrol is just asking for what everyone else would ask for. Give us some help in this, actually allow us to enforce the law.
Yeah, they're so overwhelmed, and not to mention the amount, as you said, of drugs coming in. We hear these stories. We see pictures like yours. You talked about the Biden administration. They say they're trying to build a fence. They created an app. But to your point, some of these people are given a court date to come in 5-10 years from now. Why is the administration not even really acknowledging that this is a crisis? A lot of the news networks, Senator, have pretty much ignored the story.
Yeah, the news networks are just looking away from it, saying there's nothing to see here. And what the Biden administration is focused on is reducing the amount of chaos at the border. But they just don't want to have the spot where the news cameras can focus on that spot and to say, look at all this chaos here. So their solution to the chaos is not to stop the chaos. It's to move the chaos into the interior of the country where there are fewer cameras focused. So that's the big problem that we have with this administration. The easiest thing for them to be able to do and the best thing for the country is just to enforce the law. The United States is not anti-immigrant. We're wide open to legal immigration, and we want legal immigration. We don't want illegal immigration, and that's what this administration seems to get confused.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to move now to the debt ceiling. You dropped the latest edition of your government waste book, in part focusing on the country's spending and debt. Now, this bill's passed in the House. Do you think that it's going to pass in the Senate? And what do you think about the bill?
Yeah, we'll see in the next couple of days what actually happens here in the Senate on it, but it looks entirely likely that it will pass the Senate either today, tomorrow, or Saturday, just depending on the debate. Quite a few amendments are still coming up to be able to fix some of the very broken areas of this bill. The difficult thing for Kevin McCarthy is he's negotiating with a White House that is absolutely addicted to giving away other people's money and trying to be able to win their election based on giving money away. That's a major problem when he's trying to negotiate this. So I don't fault Kevin McCarthy in this for trying to negotiate something with this White House, because they've got to come to some kind of resolution on it. But the problems that we have on it is it doesn't really decrease spending. And where it talks about $1.5 trillion in reduction of spending, that's a promise of Congress in the future reducing spending, because spending next year goes up, spending the next year goes up. It's not actually going down. And so that's a big challenge that we have with this bill. I tried to lay out in my Federal Fumbles book, here are ways that we can actually reduce spending, that we can do less, that we can actually say we wouldn't miss this. There's a study that was done on French butchers and their secret language in Paris. Why are we paying for that as Americans? Why are we paying for the European butterfly study from a European scientist that we're actually paying? Why are we paying for that? So there are basic areas that I try to identify just wasteful spending.
Yeah, no,
there are ways to reduce spending. Let's focus on those first.
There's ridiculous spending that's been going on. Senator James Lankford, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it, sir.